So, Project Sekai, a not-so-funny tapping game. When I first heard the announcement, I think back in July that a Project Sekai movie was coming our way and a global release was happening. Safe to say I was more than excited. A friend who very recently got into Project Sekai offered to accompany me on this amazing experience, which I think was very nice of him. Now, I'm not too crazy about Project Sekai. I've played the game, read some of the stories, but unless there's like a really cool collab or an event that involves my favorite characters, then I don't really play it that often. I've made a spoiler-free review on this movie, which I suggest you watch if you haven't already, because this time around I'll be going into more detail, which does involve spoilers, so this is your warning to click off now if you haven't watched the movie and you want to experience it spoiler-free. In my previous review, I gave this movie a lot of praise for its good performances and musical sequences. I thought the songs were really good and the animations were very visually pleasing. The animation was done by PA Works, which, if that sounds familiar to you, it was also the same studio that brought us the Journey to Bloom episodes. I do want to point this out as I was doing my research for the commissioned songs. Deco27 must have either had bills to pay, was really passionate about this project, or was held at gunpoint to make these songs for the movie. This guy was involved in half of the songs and then proceeded to drop Telepathy shortly after. I don't know, I thought that was funny. His hard work, as well as everyone else's, did pay off, as all of the songs were amazing, Worlders and Fire Dance being my personal favorites. The plot itself is fairly easy to understand, but as I mentioned before, it can be a little bit confusing without the general understanding of what Project Sekai is about, because the characters are not introduced and, Sekais and stuff like that are not explained. So basically, there's this Miku whose voice is unable to be heard by the people she wants to reach out to. Therefore, she visits each of the units for some help, which then they would share this common goal of helping this Miku find her voice. Simple stuff. Although, for a movie called A Miku Who Can't Sing, she sure sings a lot. I know, everyone got tired after the 7th or 8th. But then again, that was the whole point. That is the only song she knows how to sing, so it makes sense that she would sing, The movie does this thing where it jumps into 5 different perspectives for each of the 5 units, meaning that in 1 minute you'll be with Vivid Bad, and then the next you'll be with Momo Jump, and then N25, and then Wonderland Showtime, and so on. All of the units got a really good amount of screen time, which I think is great, except for maybe I would say Wonderland Showtime. Not saying that they didn't have a good amount, they did, but you don't see them as often as Leonid or N25. This movie could be very sad sometimes, going into heavy topics like bad mental health, anxiety, not feeling good enough, that kind of thing. You see this Miku struggle to help people who are dealing with these kind of problems, only to be told to go away and she's making the problem worse. Which, as a die-hard Miku fan, that hurt to watch. Because of this Miku's failed attempts to try to reach out to anyone, her Sekai gets consumed by darkness, which spreads to all the other Sekais, and only takes the Mikus from them. While everyone was running and fearing for their lives, the N25 Vocaloids just did not care. They saw it coming and they took this opportunity to auraform. This movie does have a happy ending. Through the help of each unit, this Miku was able to eventually find her voice, and all the other Mikus were brought back to their own respective Sekais safe and sound. When the movie finishes, it's technically not over. Once the credits finish rolling, there is an after show, which is like a short 4-minute performance using the 3D models from the game. And take a wild guess which song they performed.
Oh my god. Again?
When I left the theater, there was staff waiting for us outside, handing out the postcards, which contains the code which you could redeem for in-game items. I already went ahead and redeemed mine not too long ago, and in my opinion, it's the prettiest Miku card in the game, and I am not taking it off for a while. The movie made around $2.17 million in Japan, and as for the US, it made $2.77 million, outselling Japan's box office debut, which for a limited 4-day theatrical run, that's pretty impressive. I think this opens a lot of doors for future Idol franchise movies because a lot of them don't really leave Japan. I feel as though Japan and distributors believe that these types of movies wouldn't appeal to the Western audience, so also for the Project Sekai movie to be this successful in the US, if not more successful than it was in Japan, it seems very likely we could get more international releases for idol franchise movies. At the time I'm making this, the movie has an audience score of 96 on Rotten Tomatoes. There is no specific percentage on the critic score, but from what I could find, the reviews are just about what I expected. Me personally, I really love this movie. As a movie theater experience, this was by far the best one I've had. Everyone was super nice, and most, including myself, brought their Miku plushies with them, and some of them had their Miku-inspired outfits, which was really cool. I personally would rate this movie a 9 out of 10 because everything from the plot, music, performances were done really well. There was definitely a lot of love, care, and effort put into this movie. The only thing keeping me from giving this a perfect 10 is the fact that this isn't something I can recommend to people outside of the Project Sekai fandom because of all the missing information needed to understand what's going on. That being said, I believe it's for the better that they prioritized their own audience over everyone else because at the end of the day, we are who this movie is for, and it's why the movie is the way it is. So overall, the movie offers a lot for audiences who are familiar with the games and characters that inspire it. There's lots to love about this movie, and even if you're not a fan of Project Sekai, if you watch it with an open mind, there is still some fun to be had here. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea how to do an outro, but I'm here with my friend who joined me on this amazing experience. And do you have anything extra you want to point out?
I would like to say that it's been an honor to watch this movie with my friend. Like, I absolutely loved it, 10 out of 10. Like, words cannot describe the feeling of everything, like the show, like the project, everything. 10 out of 10, literally.
Great. Do you have before we end off, do you have a favorite unit?
Definitely Leonie.
Oh, really? That's an interesting one. I don't know a lot of Leonie fans because I feel they're often overshadowed by the rest of the groups. But yeah, thank you for joining me on this wonderful experience. Thank you for everyone for joining in, and I'll see you guys later.
Glad to be here.
Bye!